Oh, here
Is
comes
John Evans online now?
the mayor's coming.
Yep.
Okay, we are recording, so
We don't have Herb John.
John Evans called me just a few minutes ago saying he never received an invitation.
he's here.
He's
He's
here.
here now.
Is he here now? Good.
Hey, boss.
Hey,
Oh, John.
can you hear me all right?
Yes.
I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay.
For some reason, I can never get the audio with this WebEx system. And I don't know if you even have my visual, but that's
No, we
not
don't.
important.
No.
All right, we know what you look like.
That's fine. That's
Hi,
good.
Andrea.
Okay.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Now there's Andrew. Great. We have a quorum for this meeting.
Oh,
We're
you
at
got a
2
lot
o'clock.
of people.
Yes. We can officially start, but I'd like to start with something that's not on the agenda, noting that we reported on October 8th in the New York Times that September was the warmest ever recorded worldwide. And one solution to this is to plant some trees.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it.
So we could go ahead with the approval of minutes of September 22. Any comments on those minutes?
Yes, there's an error. And unfortunately, it's a very simple one. In the headline, I just picked up the old meeting and it says instead of September 22nd, it still reads August 18th, 2020. So just make that change and know that it is the what you received is for September.
All right, that's great.
Okay,
Anything else?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any second for the minutes?
Second.
I'll second them.
Herb John did.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
That
Minutes
was
are
smooth.
approved as amended. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the mayor's update, and I specifically listed any changes with city council and with the code enforcement position.
Okay, as far as city council, I received a couple of weeks ago, I guess it is, a letter of resignation from Randy Swan. The council will receive that officially at the next regular meeting. And the law is that they then have 30 days to appoint a successor to that for the remainder of that term, which is not very much. It's from now until the end of December. So there's that. Code enforcement, we are looking for a successor to Mike Lesh, who resigned 2 days after the last budget was passed. That was part of the reason that he did that. You're looking at the temporary code enforcement officer right here. It's quite an education, actually. I've already approved a fence permit, some other permit, I can't remember. Another party had put in for a pool permit, and I can't find the paperwork. I went over to her house Saturday and talked to her, and so I got that on my plate. But we're looking for another code enforcement officer right now. So those are the two things Lee asked me to mention. As everybody knows, we have an important election coming at us in a number of ways, one of which is for city council. There are 7 people running for 6 seats. So that means that just do the arithmetic, at least 6 of the candidates will be elected to the next 2-year council. One of them is sitting right there in the upper right-hand corner is Mr. Gibson. So vote for Don. Let's see, another matter, there's an application for a rezoning process about to begin. A couple of individuals want to build 2-building, 48-unit apartment complex on River Road, very close to where the proposed Prospect Cove thing is, right across River Road from that. It's at the corner of Mayfair. You know where that is. If you go up Timber Ridge Drive and take a left toward town, there's the very first right-hand turn. So it's in that property right there. The way the process works, the first step is to have a so-called neighborhood meeting, and that's happening tonight at 6 o'clock. And anybody who wants to be in on that, you can call the lawyer's office and ask to be in on the WebEx meeting. If anybody wants to do that, I'll be glad to give you that information. Or you can attend by phone, and I have those numbers. There's a call-in number, and then there's an access code number. So I have all that information for anybody that wants to be there. I'm going to participate by phone. I've spoken with Mimi Runyon, the head of Riverfields, and she's going to participate. I'm opposed to it. Riverfields definitely is opposed to it. So there's that piece of information for you. Any questions about that?
The sponsor for that project?
The sponsor, that's 2 men. One of them is named Anderson. I forget the other one's name.
Sid Anderson.
What's that?
Sid Anderson.
Yeah, Sid Anderson is one of them. I don't know the other one's name. It's a company name.
Hello,
Who's that?
this is Sylvia Quay. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, hi, Sylvia.
Oh,
Hi, Sylvia.
We're glad you're here.
I'm driving, so I can't do a video. I cannot do a video conference.
Sure.
I'm on the phone.
Just be careful.
The only other piece of news is, I think, very significant. I guess it's now a couple of weeks ago that the city council, by a vote of 4-2, passed a budget ordinance for the current fiscal year. In fact, every year up till now, the budget ordinance has been about 1.5 pages long. This year, however, it's 15 pages long. And I'm horrified. It's a legal minefield to administer, but that's what they did. Every year, what we have is a budget ordinance which summarizes the workbook. The workbook is what stands behind the ordinance. And it's 15 pages long. Each page has 20 or 30 items on it. And we use the workbook to prepare the ordinance, and we also use it to keep track in detail of everything we spend. Um, the ordinance is what legally binds me in terms of what I can spend for what. I'll give you an example. Last year's ordinance, there were precisely 10 kinds of professional services, such as legal, engineering, accounting, and so forth. If you total them all up, they came to $190,800. Well, we kept track of each one of those by using the workbook, but the ordinance summarized them as professional services, $190,800. So it gave some flexibility because if this actually happened, the legal expenses were higher than anticipated, but say the engineering expenses were less, you could adjust in there without passing an amendment to the ordinance. This year, however, it's not like that. There's no flexibility in there at all. And one of the problems with this detailed ordinance is precisely that. A budget is a prediction, the numbers, and you're going to be a little off sometimes. And when that happens this year, we're going to either have to stop spending in that category. Well, we would. We just have to stop. Or we'd have to do a budget amendment. And you almost can't do them fast enough. So that's a problem. And I don't know if there's any answer to it, but that's what we got. As far as LDG is concerned, I do know of one development, and that is with regard to the one up by the Marathon Station toward Oldham County. Months ago, I was invited to be a so-called consulting party with regard to a legal requirement they have to get past, having to do with the impact upon historic properties. Well, I don't know anything about historic properties. I said, yes, I'd like to be a consulting party. So I picked up the phone and I called Mimi Runyon. I like Mimi a lot. I'm saying this with tongue in cheek. She said, oh, well, she said, I'm an expert in that. Well, she actually kind of is. She has gotten together with the folks who live in the expensive houses right around that proposed development. And they are really making great strides in that direction. So I consider that a development. They're hiring a very good consultant. They're working with the Kentucky Heritage Agency. They're hiring some lawyer that Mimi has a very high opinion of in this kind of case. So that's what's going on there. The development has to clear this hurdle because it's a federal requirement anytime the money is coming from the federal government, which this would be. At the other end, down near Don Gibson's neighborhood, it's not really a development. We've known it for some time. There will be an oral argument on October 26th at 1:30 in the afternoon. The argument has to do with competing motions that have been filed with the court, are ready for decision, motions for summary judgment. So that case is approaching a decision. As most of you know, I've been a lawyer for many years and I've read all the briefs. And in my humble opinion, I think we have a very good chance of winning that lawsuit. It's the lawsuit that LDG began 3 years ago, right after Metro Council turned them down for their rezoning. So that's October 21st at 1:30 in the afternoon. We will be participating through our lawyer, Grover Potts, in that oral argument. I guess that covers the high points. Any questions? All right, Lee, I'm done.
So back to the
All right,
budget.
thank you. Herb had something.
Yeah, Mayor, back to the budget. So if all of a sudden the HVAC in the city hall on the first floor goes out, you got to either amend the budget or wait a year until the next budget to get it fixed.
Yep.
That's could be a whole lot of amendment to the budget, couldn't it be?
Well, you can only do so many. I mean, just as a practical matter, time-wise. So we're going to have a new council elected here in a couple weeks, 3 weeks. I basically threw the gauntlet down and came out in favor of 2 new candidates and 2 recent members, Don Gibson and Greg Hulsman, in hopes that we can straighten all this out in January and February. But we'll just see. Mathematically, just doing the arithmetic, at least 3 of those 4 will be elected because there are 7 candidates for 6 seats.
Okay.
Answer your question, Herb.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Might be interested in knowing this. This kind of problem came up even with the budget that we had last year, came up along about, well, I could see it coming in January. And by March, we were out of money in the budget for professional services. Why was that such a big deal? It was a big deal because one of the professional services that we routinely have is an accounting company that prepares our payroll. I had plenty of money to meet the payroll, but I didn't have any money to pay the guy that prepares the payroll. And 3 months in a row, I tried to get an amendment and failed. And then I ran out of money. And so we were within about 10 days of a government shutdown because I couldn't pay anybody. So they hurried up and had 2 special meetings and amended it to put more money in the professional services. But that's the kind of thing that is likely to happen with a budget that is this detailed.
Not a very business-like way to have to work.
Our peer cities like Anchorage, Hurstbourne, Middletown, so forth, their budgets are typically a page long.
Gosh,
Not typically, always.
I'm sorry, John.
Oh, it'll be worked out. I think. Right now, that's what we have. One of the reasons I believe that the council did what it did with this detailed budget is that they wanted to get all of it out in public and be very transparent with all the residents as to the details of where their tax money was going. In my opinion, you can accomplish exactly that in another way by simply putting the workbook up on the website. Anybody that wants to can see the entire workbook.
Is the city pretty transparent? Is the council pretty transparent how much the city has in reserves?
I guess so. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
Well, do the cities know how much City of Prospect has in reserves?
I don't know that they do.
What is that noise?
That's strange.
Well, that's more complicated than you might imagine because it's about $2.5 million. I say about because it varies depending on the time of year. When all the tax money comes in and the end of the year, the number goes up. It'll be up above 3 million. And as we administer the budget through the year, it'll dip. But it's right around, I'd say, 2.5 million. Now, the complication of that is that this council passed an ordinance. Gosh, Don, do you remember? It was a year ago. Was it before your time?
Yes, at least a year ago.
The ordinance provided that we could not touch an amount of money. It's about $2 million of our reserves because the audit shows that a liability in that amount for a potential pension liability. Well, I talked with the auditor, Don Lawson, and he said that is done because of some accounting rule of which there are a blue million. And it wasn't something that, as a practical matter, was ever going to happen. But anyway, that's what this council has done. So 2 million of that is locked up. Look, I don't think it's that big a deal. I don't agree with it, but I don't think it's an issue.
If everyone would mute themselves if they're not talking, we would have less extraneous noise.
Okay.
Just a suggestion.
Herb, I'm done with my report.
Okay, thank you. Next would be consultant's report or Andrew's report. Do you have anything, Andrea?
The only thing, just so everybody knows, now that the trees have been ordered from Abrams Nursery, as you know, we got approval to order the 9 trees. And so they typically, as I think many of you know, are not dug and available to plant until probably mid to late November. So as soon as I get some information of closer to the time they're dug and available to be planted, I'll certainly let you know. But it'll be well into November. Hopefully by then we'll be getting some more consistent rainfall because they need rain to have the soils damp enough to be able to dig root balls on trees in the fall. So, but that's great. They're on order, and so we've got that taken care of. And as you know, the planner lined up, which is Perez and Cortez. And the only other thing, I actually had a question, and my question was, where are we on tree removals? What in the budget that was passed? Is there money in that budget for the tree removals or is Ron taking care of that? Or I assume Ron's taking care of it, right?
Ron is online. He was going to give a report on that. He could do that now if you wanted.
I don't think he's there at the moment. I'm not sure.
Andrew, I don't have the budget in front of me, so I can't sit here and answer you. I know there is some money in there for that, but I don't have the figure in front of me.
Okay.
Ron would know that.
Okay.
When he gets back.
My assumption was he was handling it. I just didn't know.
Yes, and I talked with him a few days ago, and he was going to update the status of those tree removals for this meeting, but for some reason maybe he's offline right now.
Okay.
And can't do that. Maybe he'll come back. We have separately.
Here he is.
Here you are.
We have.
Sorry, guys. I got about 9 things going on right now, so.
Okay.
Hold on. That would be one of those 9 things. Tree removals. Let me see. The only active cases we have open right now are 620, which is a city-owned tree that's at Small Pine on Sutherland. As soon as I get a full staff again, we'll probably be doing that in the middle of the week. Mrs. Gill is still open, but I think that was just waiting to be done.
Right.
And the list that I had earlier, that's about $5,000–6,000. I am still waiting for approval to spend said money.
Okay.
As soon as somebody tells me I can spend the money, I'll spend the money.
Okay. Well, that updates us then.
While I got you, because I'm gonna have to keep popping in and out. Lee, you guys took those tree guards off down in the park on Friday. You and Nick. You need to make sure you get those back up within the next week or so, because deer rut is getting ready to start. And without those tree guards, they're perfect for a deer to come rub on. So.
Right. Well, let me comment on that. Nick Nilsson and I took off 4 or 5 guards. At least 2 of them were so tight they were cramping the tree.
Well, those are put on with plastic straps. They'll pop before they'll grow into the tree. Just for future reference, if you're going to adjust them, get hold of me. I'll give you a thing of wire ties, and instead of taking them off, you can just adjust them.
Well, can you, if you feel strongly, Ron, can you get your maintenance guy to do that?
Lee, you got to quit creating work for me, buddy. Right now, because of COVID and everything else, I'm chasing my tail, and you're not helping.
Hey Lee, can we? I can help. You know.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a very big job. And Nick and I took off. Did I say 4 or 5? It took us about 10 or 15 minutes total. But I'm not sure where those guards are. We left them for your crew to pick up. Maybe you just left them there.
Actually, they're up in the shed. I'll sit them beside the shed the next time I'm down there.
Okay. The shed, you're talking about the shed at the park, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, that's good. You do
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I understand what you were doing, but it's the wrong time of the year to just take those off and leave them off.
Okay. Are we done with that discussion?
Yep.
Okay. Next item actually relates to what Andrew was reporting on the fall planning plans for the residential areas. And I had a question for the board as a whole and for Andrew too. We ordered 9 trees, and according to the list I went through, that was an insufficient number to put one of them on the Chestnut Hill median.
That median's been planted, Lee. That we don't need a tree on that. That median, I think Ron took care of getting that planted last fall. It doesn't need a tree.
Is that where the holly went?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was requested by the homeowner, so.
It's been planted, so that's why we didn't order a tree for there.
So we'll just let that go? Is that what we're saying?
Correct. It already has a tree there.
Okay.
That the city planted last fall.
Okay. If there's nothing more on the residential trees, I had a question for planning possibly in Hunting Creek Park. We have in restricted funds about $960 for planting trees in Hunting Creek Park. And looking at the budget we had for the $2,500 for residential planning, if we took the residual left over from that plus the $960, we would have money for 4 trees that could be planted in Hunting Creek Park up on sort of the high side along that new concrete walkway or pathway. And I'd just like to get comments on that. I know Linda Wardell is also on the line, and if she has any comment, that would be great.
Yes, thank you, Lee. I would concur that planting them along the concrete walkway is, I think, a good idea. I think Ron concurs with that. We had talked earlier that we really don't want to do stuff along the pathway because of concerns with interference with the force main sewer line. We don't want to do anything to compromise that. So I think it would be kind of nice if over the years that walkway might get a little bit shaded. And I think it makes perfect sense to use the money that way. And Ron may have other comments.
Any other comment on that by anybody?
Well, I think that'd be a good idea. That's kind of what we talked about a year or so ago. And I think it would be a great idea to plant a few trees in that area on either side of that sidewalk.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it would only be 4 trees. That's all the money we have, every last dime of it. But that would cover it based on the cost we had for the residential trees.
And I would like to get Ron to concur. We want it on the high side of the path, not on the low side of the path, because that can flood. So we want it sort of along the meadow. I call it a meadow.
What?
So it's the left side as you walk down it, right?
No, right side.
No, the right side.
As you're walking down.
The right side.
That's going to flood anyway. So whatever we put there needs to be water
Right.
resistant.
I just thought we would put something that's flood tolerant, more flood tolerant.
Yeah.
I thought it would look good, maybe staggering, like kind of staggered. But I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 on one side or 2 and 2, but kind of have them.
There's not a whole lot of room on the left-hand side going down.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say is I think there's not that much room on the left hand.
Okay, if you just put it on the other side, then we can do that. But that's the area that area would flood too, right?
Oh yeah, it all floods. Everything down there floods.
Right. That's what I thought.
If you get up closer to the where the new picnic tables are, it's pretty high up,
Well, we're not talking. I didn't think we were talking in that area.
I wouldn't say it couldn't flood there, but
I thought you were talking more when it's open, like when you pass the picnic area.
I am talking where the path is, but all I'm saying is that when I'm talking high, that's be relative to the creek. What we can do, I was going to propose that if she's up to it, Linda and Andrea and I and anyone else on the board could go take another look and try to pick sites that would be most suitable.
Or we can do that, or I could just put some flags in. You can look at them, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I'm perfectly capable of. I've hiked the Orange Trail, so I'm perfectly capable of meeting anyone, anytime.
Okay, you're ahead of me on that. All right, that's great. Right.
I would like to meet sooner rather than later because I may be out of town sometime in the near future for a couple of weeks. So if you'd like to do that, sooner rather than later would be great.
Yeah, more or less I'm available starting tomorrow.
Okay.
I think you can name a day and time. I've got a couple of Zoom meetings here and there, but let me know what works and I'll try to make it. And yes, the area is going to.
How about Thursday for everybody? Would that work sometime on Thursday?
How about Thursday early afternoon? Would that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, we've got a parks meeting at 2:00 on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe 11 or 11 o'clock.
Does that work for Andrea?
Thursday. What did you say, Linda? I'm sorry.
Morning is fine with me.
Oh, okay. Could we do like 11 maybe on Thursday? Or possibly, would that work for you guys?
That's fine for
Ron, are
me.
you available then? Ron, are you available then, or? I don't know.
Yes, that's what I was checking on. You know, I know it looked like I was blankly staring off into space, but I was checking the calendar. Yeah, I can make 11 on Thursday.
All right, 11 on Thursday. You want to bring those tree guards with you then too. And
Well, they'll be there.
I'll collect it for you. If Herb wants to show up, that's great too.
I'll even bring you some wire ties to put them back on with.
All right, great. Okay.
Sounds good.
Perfect, thank
We
you.
need a motion from someone on the board to plant 4 trees at Hunting Creek Park, subject to site selection by the team we just composed of.
Well, and according to price too, Lee, because we'll have to see exactly how much they come in at, you know.
Yeah.
How much total money do you have? Do you have the 960 residual?
Yeah, we have 960 plus $2,500 minus the spending costs for the
Okay.
for
Okay,
the
let
other
me.
trees. And I calculated it was enough, but I don't have the exact number right in front of me.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry.
How
So
about
you need
Phil
a
move
motion.
on that motion?
I second.
So Herb made the motion and Connie seconded it.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Linda?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion
Let me
passed.
caution you guys to please check with Laura and myself first as soon as you get a total, because even though the money was budgeted, doesn't mean it's there to spend, and you don't want to be on the bad side of Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
do
hope
that.
nobody's taking our $960 of restricted funds. I'd hate to prosecute them.
It's not a matter of the. I don't know. It's weird for me. It's the money's there, but it's not there.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's
All right.
Don't even ask, right, Ron?
yeah. Don't get me started.
What do you
So we're
mean
going to
it's not
stiff
there?
Abrams
What do
trees.
you mean it's not there?
Exactly what you've been telling me. It's there, but it's not there. Just because it's been budgeted doesn't mean the cash flow's there.
Well, I paid my taxes already.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not going to comment on it.
Me too.
Y'all are trying to get me in trouble.
$900 right there.
I'm going to call Laura.
Okay. Anything else on those 2 projects?
I don't think so.
Okay. Next item is the new developments, Hunting Green. Herb put together a letter to be sent to Hunting Green, basically supplemented with some specific suggestions that Andrea came up with as to how they could better select the trees, be more suitable, and how to plant them. Any comments on that draft, which was been circulated?
Yeah, this is Herb. I'll make the changes that Andrea talked about rather than the Coosa dogwoods. I'll basically just say what my letter said, better success with those plants.
Yeah, I would just say a different ornamental tree, such as, but, you know, I would stay away from the cousas. They're just very finicky. They're difficult to get sighted well and to do well. No, they're very pretty.
I did have one concern, because it was kind of hard to tell on the layout. There's Andrea. I don't know if you remember what they were, but there's a line of trees going up Hunting Creek Drive. on the
I think they're
outside of the
sugar
building.
maples, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Maples?
it. That's it. I think we need to make sure that they're far enough back off the road that it doesn't cause a line of sight problem for traffic coming down the hill. I know it
Yeah.
looks like a straight shot there, but if you put a line of trees out there, it's going to be a straight shot after that line of
I
sight.
would really hope that the architect thought that LD&D figured that out. I don't have I don't know how many feet those trees are. I couldn't tell from the plan. I don't have a large plan to measure it by scale. But Herb, do you know how far those trees are off of Honey Creek Drive by chance?
Let me get my magnifying glass out here. So, which I can't find. Oh,
Do you have a large set of plans, Ron, at
no,
the office?
I do not.
Okay.
that's what I got.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard to
yeah,
tell what
that's
the
what I got.
scale is on that. I don't think that's easy to measure with a regular scale.
Well,
Big plan. You can approximate, but well, Herb could mention that in his letter, Ron, that we
Yeah.
want to be sure that that row of trees doesn't doesn't interfere with the line of sight, any line of sight issues, and have him
Yeah.
respond.
That was really the only concern I had with any of it. So
okay, I'll mention that. The one question I have, it's not a concern. I mean, I know Kevin worked with LD&D on many projects, and good,
Right.
very successful projects. Good people. Is it okay, the letters from me, or should it be from Lee, the chair?
No, I think it should be from you. You know them. No point
Okay.
in me to stick my nose in it. If you wanted to, and it may not be a very good idea, you could set up a letter, send it to Laura, and she could put it on the Forestation Board City of Prospect letterhead, if you want to do that. Or you could just send them an email. Well,
Now, let me keep it casual. They work for the developer. We're making hopefully constructive criticism that then they take it that way. So we'll see how that goes.
okay. Thank you for doing that, Herb. I think it's a useful service for the developer.
It is, but I happen to know by going through the process, they've gone through lots of authority and got approval, and many times people don't. They if they have to go back to the authorities, then the authorities bring up new issues. So it is very difficult to get a development plan approved in Jefferson County.
Yeah. Well, we're not mandating anything, so
Yeah.
it's up to them to take it from there.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else on Hunting Green?
Yeah, I have a question. I had a resident ask about the process for, does the city have any input? And I kind of heard this from Herb just now. Does the city of Prospect have any input on new development in terms of the number of trees they take down versus the number they put up? Do we have any input in that at all, or is that all handled through Metro?
Well, the ordinance does cover certain things that would be specific. One, if they're going to plant new trees, they need to come from an approved list, which is very large. Number two, the ordinance speaks to planting distances between and among trees, and between sidewalks and curbs. There's also a reference to trenching near trees, which is supposed to be subject to Forestation Board approval. Those are the main things that are, you say, mandated by ordinance. And this leads into the next subject with the breakers. But we'd like to work with the breakers and Hunting Green or everyone else to have the best trees selected for a particular location, and that's what Andrea just recommended for Hunting Green, but they're not mandated. On the breakers, a new development, I wrote an email on this. I called twice to Stephanie Gilzan, who's the management director there, as far as I can figure out, asking for a copy of their landscape plan, same as we had with Hunting Green. I got absolutely no response at all, no return phone call, no nothing. And I don't think we should leave it in that situation. I propose maybe that either the mayor call or we send them a letter asking for it, simply because actually we have, I would say the city has responsibility to enforce its ordinance, and if we don't know what's going on, I don't know how we can do it.
Lee? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you will send me an email and tell me what you would like to know,
Yes.
I will call Stephanie. She returns my calls.
Very good. That's great. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on that subject?
But just one other thing, this new apartment that's being proposed at Mayfair and in Carter Mayfair and in River Road. Right now, that's about a 3.5 acre empty lot and must have 60 trees on it. 60.
Exactly right.
And the plan we saw takes all of those out and doesn't have a buffer between River Road, and it doesn't have any that I saw any additional trees put back in.
And Don, you couldn't replace the trees that are there because they're mature trees. They're big.
Yes.
Is that property within the city of Prospect?
No, it is not.
And that's Metro, right across the street from us.
Yeah.
Well, any development approved by Metro Louisville has got to have new trees in it, street trees. So there may be a landscape plan that you haven't seen, but you could try to find it. It's public record when they get a plan approved.
Okay.
And back on Hunting Green, they proposed to plant 50 trees. That's what their drawing shows.
That's good. Anything else on those subjects?
No, thank you.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, the next item we had on the agenda was tree removal status. Now, Ron did report on his work and what's pending. Obviously, he needs resolution with the mayor about the spending. I had heard about private trees. We actually had Mike Lesh send out actually 4 letters. One was we already discussed. The other 3 were all in Fox Harbor about overhanging branches and hazardous trees. All those situations have been corrected. Okay.
That's great.
2 people took down trees and 1 homeowner cut branches.
That's good news.
Okay, yes, it is actually. And those
That's
people
very
were
good
very
news.
nice. Yeah, very nice.
But back to tree removal. If we're still on that, I know what Ron said there. You know, we've heard the city with a cash flow situation, but hopefully I think the taxes have to be in by mid-November, so hopefully those trees that are on the list will get removed this winter anyway.
I sure hope so. Oh, there's Lee.
Okay.
Lee, do you have anything else on your list, or?
I do very quickly. For the mayor, there's council meeting on Monday the 19th. Do you want a report from Forestation Board then?
Sure.
Okay, we'll do that by WebEx. And then the next item I had on the agenda was the next meeting date, which normally would be the second Tuesday in November, which would be the 10th of November. How is that for everyone?
That's fine for me.
Okay. Andrea?
Probably
Okay.
okay. I'm going to be out of town, but I don't know when yet. But if it conflicts, I'll
Okay.
let you know.
Okay. Let's say tentatively 2 p.m. on the 10th. The next thing I wanted to bring out is I'm hoping for a volunteer to deliver the council report for Forestation Board for November, which will be November 16th. I plan to be traveling to Connecticut on the 16th of November, and I don't think I'll be able to make any report. And I'm going to be out of town tentatively till early January, and I'll only have very limited computer capability. One thing we need to do during that period, aside from all the regular tree work, which seems to always come up, would be to file the application for Tree City certification. Well, I could probably work with Laura and the accountant on getting the numbers for that, and with Ron, but we may need to have a temporary or a new chairperson for November, December, and into January.
I think Linda would be fantastic.
Oh, I agree. Linda would be great.
Congratulations.
Linda, can you
You
take
just got
over
nominated.
the beginning on the 16th of November, the reporting and general responsibility for organizing the Forestation Board? That'd be great.
I think she's muted.
She's muted.
I see her picture.
I am speechless.
She's
What can I
laughing
say?
at us.
She's speechless. That's funny.
Well, Lee and you and I can discuss it further, and hopefully I will be able to do all the things that need to be done in your absence.
That'd be great, Linda. You'd do a great job, too.
As long as you have a phone number.
And I can help out, but
Yeah.
I say I'm just not going to have the computer capability all the time.
Okay.
All righty. So just put on your agenda for the starting on the 16th to make a council report, and we'll be talking and exchanging messages all along. All right. Thank you very much.
Hey, Lee.
Yes,
Lee,
sir.
I've got a better idea of scale. What Ron was talking about is how far off are the trees, the Honey Creek Drive. I think they're going to be about 12 feet. The center line will be 12 feet off the edge of the pavement.
Okay.
That seems like far enough to me, doesn't it to you?
Yeah, it does, actually.
I don't, yeah.
That's if they plant small trees, right?
Well, I forget I think they're 2-inch trees. I don't have it in front of me right now, but
There's 10 sugar maples and 3 swamp white oaks.
right.
Don, are you going to be at that meeting this evening?
He's muted too.
Don,
Yes,
you going to be there on WebEx or are you going to be there by phone?
WebEx.
I'm going to be there by phone.
Lee?
Yes, go ahead. Anyone?
Did we discuss the breakers landscape plan, or was my computer kicked me off at one point?
Yeah, we
Did I
did
miss
that.
that? The breakers
I
landscape
didn't quite follow
plan?
you, Connie.
I'm sorry.
I didn't quite follow what you're asking.
Oh, the breakers landscape plan.
Yes, I I called him twice. I never got any answer, and Mayor Evans said he would call.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks, John.
You bet.
That'll be good.
And, anything else? We're finished.
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything. I'll see you all on
All right.
Thursday.
Motion to adjourn from Herb.
Yep.
All
Aye.
in favor?
I
Aye.
second. Aye.
All right, we're done. Thanks very much to everybody.
Thank you. Stay healthy.
Bye.
Stay healthy.
You too.
All right. Thanks again. Bye-bye.